Have you ever had a brilliant idea at work, one you were genuinely excited about, and then it just fizzled out? It's this super common, super frustrating mystery. Well, today, we're going to put on our detective hats and investigate this sound of silence and really dig into why so many great ideas just seem to go unheard. Let's get to it.
So yeah, this is the big question, isn't it? Where do all these good ideas actually go to die? Is there some forgotten notebook graveyard? Or is something bigger, something more systemic going on? Let's start our investigation. All right, our investigation starts by looking at the anatomy of fear. Because let's be real, the silence we're talking about, it's not because people aren't creative or don't have good ideas. Oh, they do. The silence is rooted in some very real, very powerful fears. So let's start uncovering the clues.
First clue on our list is something I'm betting a lot of you have experienced yourselves. It's what we'll call the black hole effect. You know that feeling, right? You put all this effort into something, you send it out into the universe, and you hear absolutely nothing back. Just silence.
I mean, think about it. You spend your precious time crafting this really thoughtful suggestion. You hit send, and then crickets. No reply, no thanks, we got it, nothing. It just disappears. The message you get, loud and clear, is that your effort just didn't matter. And why would you ever bother trying again after that?
Okay, let's move on to clue number 2. This one hits on a really deep human need, the need for recognition. It's the fear of idea theft. And this one is a huge demotivator because honestly, who wants to do all the hard thinking just for someone else to get the credit?
And that leads to this little voice in your head, right? It's a totally rational fear. What if I mention this and my boss presents it as their own next week? If you can't trust that your contribution will be acknowledged, well, the safest thing to do is just keep it to yourself.
Which brings us to our third clue, and this one is all about social risk, the fear of judgment. You know, sharing a new idea, especially one that isn't perfectly polished yet, it makes you feel vulnerable. And that can be, well, terrifying.
People are genuinely afraid of being laughed at, of having their idea shot down immediately, or even worse, getting in trouble for bringing up a so-called bad idea. When the culture feels like only perfect, genius-level ideas are welcome, it just slams the door shut on creativity before it even starts.
Now, not all these roadblocks are external. Let's look at our fourth clue. This one is internal, and it can be just as powerful as any of the others. It's a simple lack of confidence.
This is that pesky voice of self-doubt. You know the one? It whispers things like, I'm not really the creative type, or my idea probably isn't that important anyway. That little internal critic can convince us to stay silent before anyone else even gets a chance to hear what we have to say.
And for our final clue, we're looking at something much more systemic. See, it's not always about deep-seated fears. Sometimes the problem is just logistics. Let's call it the process problem.
Think about it. Even if you get past all those other fears, you still run into a wall. You might just be too slammed with your day-to-day work to even think about it. Or maybe you literally just don't know how to share an idea. Is there a form, an email address, a specific meeting? If the path isn't crystal clear, that idea is probably going nowhere.
Okay, so we've gathered all our clues. We've got the black hole effect, fear of theft, fear of judgment, lack of confidence, and the process problem. Now, it's time for the big reveal. Because all these clues, they point to one single culprit.
So here it is. The problem isn't a lack of ideas. Your team, your coworkers, your company, they are absolutely brimming with them. The potential is right there, just waiting under the surface.
It's a lack of trust. That's it. That's the heart of the issue. A lack of trust that your idea will be seen. Trust that you'll get the credit you deserve. Trust that you won't be judged. Trust that the system actually works.
And this is the crucial point. All those fears we just talked about, they aren't just random individual feelings. Nope, they're symptoms, and they are all directly connected to the company's system, or lack of one, for handling new ideas.
In fact, if you actually wanted to design a system specifically to kill ideas, this is pretty much the perfect recipe. Step 1. Make the process totally confusing and secretive. Step 2. Never ever give feedback so you can create that black hole. And for the final touch, step 3, make sure you never give credit where it's due. It's a foolproof recipe for silence.
But look, it doesn't have to be this way. It really doesn't. So in this last part, let's talk about building a better way. One that goes way beyond that dusty old suggestion box in the break room.
So often, the knee-jerk reaction is to buy some new software or set up a digital suggestion box. But that's just a band-aid, right? The real solution goes so much deeper. It's about building a process, a whole culture, really, that is completely rooted in trust and respect. Trust means the process is clear. Respect means every single idea gets a response and credit is always given.
And that really brings to the ultimate takeaway here. A truly great process for capturing ideas, it's about culture, not just code. It's built on small, consistent things, like a manager who actively asks for half-baked thoughts, or a team that celebrates a noble failure. That's how you build the kind of safety that great ideas need to actually see the light of day.
So, I'll leave you with this question to think about. When you think about your own workplace, your team, what is your silence saying? Is it really saying you have no new ideas? Or is it maybe saying you just don't trust what will happen to them if you dare to speak up?